Jim. He's dead.
Hello, and welcome to Improv Autopsy. I'm your host, Stephen Cadwell. In this episode, I interview the incomparable Simon MacDonald, improviser and Lego fanatic. Simon is one of the first friends I made when I started volunteering at SAC Comedy Lab. Sid, to whom he is now married, served as house manager quite a bit then. After getting into Gen S, one of the student groups, I was invited into Simon's group 6 Degrees, and we performed at Austin's Coffee Shop in Orlando. Simon is very mischievous on stage. I think it was Del Close who said, "Follow the fear." Simon follows the fun. If there is something he's enjoying, he follows it. This is because I cannot think of one time I've ever seen Simon fearful of anything that is happening on stage. Simon plays in a very annoyance theater style without ever having been influenced by the annoyance theater. Simon doesn't make safe choices, Simon makes bold choices, and he delights in whatever outcomes they produce. He is Puck on stage in all the best ways. Simon no longer lives in Orlando, and when I spoke to him, he had just been let go from what had been a dream job at Legoland. Simon built a Boba Fett costume out of Lego 20 years ago. One of the first things we ever talked about was his Lego replica of Winona, John Crichton's gun on Farscape, of which we were both fans. Simon is a creative, and wherever he ends up, he'll be creating, and you can bet whatever he creates is going to embody a lot of that same mischief and joy he brings to the stage. Please enjoy Simon MacDonald's Improv Autopsy.
So, for those who don't know, hi, my name is Simon MacDonald, and I am, or used to be, a Lego designer for the Merlin theme parks, and they just shut down the entire department and moved everything to Malaysia.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, man.
Wow.
Let's get into your podcast. What kind of questions do you have for me?
Sure. Yeah, let's, well, I like to start at the beginning. So I guess the first question would be, Simon, do you remember your first encounter with improv or the first time you knew what improv was?
Absolutely. I was with a church youth group, and we were performing, I think it was Bye Bye Birdie. And they said, "Hey, kids, we're going to take you to go see some improv so you can see what theater is like and fun." So they took me to SAC Comedy Lab when it was in downtown Orlando behind the haunted house, the Halloween thing. Do you remember what it was called?
No.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, that was before me.
Someone else will Google it and answer it for us. So it was at least 24, 25 years ago. And I saw it and I was like, I get it. I get improv. It's essentially being the class clown with everybody else and just telling a story. So I started taking some preliminary workshops. I didn't do the SAT classes just yet. I bought the book. I read it front to back. And that really helped in my acting/improv career because the following year, the church group was doing Oklahoma. And I was playing Curly, and our Judd, during a performance, he's supposed to raise his gun to the ceiling, and a sound effect goes off and shoots the ceiling. Instead, he raised it to my face, and the effect went off. And I would be dead, but I had to embrace the moment and pick it up and keep moving. Yeah. So I said, "You're still a lousy shot, Judd." And I just looked to my left, and we moved on from the scene. But after that, I started taking classes, started with level 1 at SAC with James Newport, and then level 2, it was Jay Hopkins, and then level 3, it was Ryan Smith, and then for more experienced stuff, level beyond that, James Newport yet again. And honestly, it was James Newport's birthday a couple of weeks ago, and Ryan posted on his page saying, "Happy birthday, you kook," or something like that. And I was just happy to see them both at the same time. That I just thank them for making me who I am. And it's not a secret because it's on Facebook. But without improv's guidance, I honestly would be a different person. But without improv, I would probably be a lot more insular. I wouldn't be as outgoing as I am because the thing is, I'm an intro extro, so I have a lot of pent up energy that I need to get out. And improv was a perfect medium for that because it helps you with listening and telling stories. And Ryan had the mantra doing an improv scene is like walking backwards through a story. You see everything that is in front of you was in the past. So you know what to pull back on to establish the future, but you don't know what's going to happen in the future. but you're able to listen to the past and reestablish it. Callbacks, haha.
Yeah.
So that's just crucial skill that I actually, let's go off a little bit.
Sure.
So I found out about 2 years ago that I have been raw dogging life. I'm now taking medication to help me balance things. And improv was good quasi medication to help me learn how to balance things better than I was having, because I would have swings of emotions, mostly anger, but improv helped me figure out how to deal with that. And then, of course, now meds. And I used to be, I didn't care about meds, but my wife told me something that if your body can't make it, go ahead and get it somewhere else.
Good advice.
Yeah,
So you started when James was AD at SAC. That's when you started?
correct. I started about 21 years ago.
You don't have to admit to that. At what point in there did 6 Degrees come about, and how did that formulate? And were there any other groups in there as well?
So 6 Degrees started out because I had money and time and I needed a different medium. 6 Degrees Improv, I'm not saying it was an offshoot of SAC and that everyone who was in it is now really, really big. It was a different exercise machine from SAC. I loved long form at the time, I still do. And I knew that other people wanted to do it. And so after reading all of the exercises and games available, I was like, oh, I found connections. Let's combine this game and this game. Let's do a three-way dubbing crime event. And I know who I am now to an uncomfortable level that they're currently not at in order to get something new from them, because I hate repeating myself and I hate just doing the same things over. So that's why I came up with these new exercises. And there were a couple people who really loved what I was doing. A couple people were afraid of what I was doing. So I took the couple people that really liked it and who were my friends and sort of like, let's do some improv somewhere else and not get paid. We're not getting paid anyway. So we started, you were in it. Uh, Rob Ward was in it. Chase Paget, Adam Bellis, Steve Grogan, James Dillman. James Dillman is huge right now in the Orlando community. I know I'm going to forget a lot of names.
Kenny?
Sarah Justice, Chrissy Keel, my wife, Sydney MacDonald. Pretty sure I'm forgetting a couple of people. So we would just go to a coffee house and just do some improv. I do know that there were other groups that were doing their own stuff. And I do know that not everybody else in 6 Degrees, but a lot of other people in 6 Degrees were still doing other groups as well, and just trying to get a lot of their ground level experience dealing with audiences of different types. Dealing with audiences have to pay for this, so they could say whatever the hell. Just learning different aspects of improv. I was fine with 6 Degrees. I loved just doing one extra show a week on Sunday, being able to stretch a long form format where essentially only two people know each other, and then one person of that other group knows somebody else, and then one person of that pairing knows somebody else, and eventually get through all six people and like, oh my gosh, the first person knows this sixth person through this way. And it was just, we start with a little monologue about who we are, then the audience reorders us. And so it was fun like that. But doing other things, like I said, three-way dubbing crime endowment, other stupid games, exercises we would come up with, getting those out there that we couldn't really do on a SAC stage, because the SAC stage was something, it was a product on SAC, because you had to adhere to certain rules. You had to have a specific format that you had to stick within. You couldn't do a long form thing on a Thursday night, because that's not what people are there for. People are there for, hey, this is a first date. Let's go see some comedy. Oh, I don't like stand up. Okay, let's go see SAC. They get great reviews. Let's go there. So just stretching your limits and finding new things to do with improv is it's a great function. I mean, I'm still utilizing it for my Lego design career. I used it for that. I'm using it for my board game designs, games, and just trying to fix them. So improv is it's a great tool. Join our cult. We love you.
I want to go back a little bit. So I just spoke with Charlie not too long ago, and you explained a little bit just now, but I'd like to go a little bit more in depth because I think I came on board kind of right at the time when playing the Six Degrees form itself was kind of fading away, and we were doing just more of a short form type of show. So I couldn't remember exactly how the Six Degrees format went. You kind of explained it, but can you tell me again because it is reminiscent of, but very different from Laurent.
Correct. So Charlie Downs, excellent improviser, great on tech. He knows his timing and shit. The Six Degrees format, it was do a monologue, tell people your character. So if somebody does a really wacky character before you stand up and do your character, you don't need to worry about where they fit in friendships because the audience will reorder it. So you do your character, you step back, and then after all six people have done their characters, we all step forward. The audience reorders everybody, and the people next to each other will determine how they know each other, and then how the next two know each other. And it would just be essentially, I think, between 7 to 8 scenes between 2 to 4 characters, and then the final interaction would be the first person meeting the sixth person. The reason we stopped doing it is because it did take a ton of audience interaction and setup because people just really didn't care. They just wanted to see funny stuff happen. So we understood that aspect of it. It's mainly an improviser's improv game. But I do remember one of the best ones we ever did. It was Adabellus was, I think Adabellus was Jesus Christ, and Chase Paget was a video game player with like this watch or something. And at the end, they ended up challenging each other to Dance Dance Revolution, but it was Dance Dance Resurrection. It was one of the funniest, craziest bullshits I've ever seen. And Adam took his cross from behind him, threw it down on the ground, and started dancing the 4 pegs. And then it was crazy. And that joke could not have been written without improv, bringing us these two divergent locations and like finally finding the link between them. So that was tons of fun. But eventually, like I said, audience interaction, it was very heavy in participation. So I decided to go to short form, which yet again, it's a product. We had to figure out how to keep people coming back. So we had to sell a product.
I mean, I had forgotten about three-way dub Crime Endowment, but when you said that, I was like, "Oh yeah!" And I remember those games. I don't think I was ever aware of your rationale, so that's fascinating that you were doing that to try to force people into situations they wouldn't normally be in. Is that how you phrase that?
Yeah. So strength and diversity is best learned through failure because you don't want to keep failing. Nobody likes to fail. Nobody likes that feeling of, oh, if I could have done this. So what I do is I push you out of your safe zones. So you either, I'm a daddy bird, I'm kicking you out of the nest. So you either fly or you die. So games like that, or exercises like that, it takes two already pre-existing games that you know the beats and you have the muscle memory for them. So like, I speak for this guy speaks for this guy, and that guy speaks for me. Ha ha ha. It's funny. It's funny when you see people have those little stumbles and fails when they're talking. But eventually, if you keep doing that, if you have like 3 or 4 people who are like tight on that and like, oh yeah, we got it. It looks amazing, but it doesn't make them any stronger because they kept already failing. And then crime endowment, simple things. I'm usually 4 or 5 steps ahead of everybody else, which is not apparently good when you're doing a crime endowment. But the audience sees it and they're like, oh, I see what it's doing. Crime endowment, you want like 2 or 3 steps ahead of it. But if you keep the crime endowment simple, just like 3 things: location, occupation, weapon, or whatever, and then you add another exercise on top of that, you're like, I know how to do 3-way dubbing. I know how to do crime endowment. You throw them together, you're like, oh, I didn't know how to actually do 3-way dubbing. Oh, now I get it. So yeah, I used to take a lot of exercises and combine them. I had my list of games somewhere, but I had not improvised in like a decade, unless you count like other things.
Well, I mean, you've got the time now, so you could get the band back together.
Yeah, yeah, I've got the time. There's a little theater in Bartow. There's a tiny one in Lakeland. Could probably pick up some improv classes and then like get a group together and do stuff. Absolutely. But do I want to? Do I want to live that life again? Yes. Yes, I do, because it's fun. I'm in Polk County. I live in Winter Haven, which is about 5 minutes from Legoland. Polk County is like literally an alternate dimension from Orlando because it used to take a half hour to get here on I-4, but now it's impossible. It's like an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Well, then, if it's taken that long, then definitely room for some improv down there because no one driving to Orlando for it for that kind of traffic.
Thank you. I think I will do exactly what you told me to do because that sounds enticing. Just finding some place to do it. There is an improv group up here. It's run by, I think, the drama teacher from the local high school, but there's always room for more. In fact, like in my game design life, I also design board games in my Cones and Dunshire time, which I have a lot of now. I spoke to another designer and I was telling him improv is great because it forces you to listen to your playtesters and not just like, this is my design. It's not changing at all. You have to listen to your playtesters and yes and them because they want to have fun too. They want to have fun sitting down for an hour to 2 hours, moving little cardboard pieces around. They don't want to just like sit there like, oh, I kill him, we move on. I kill him, we move on. So he actually took some improv classes. He is actually improvising with his own troupe in Kissimmee now, and he says it's beneficial for his game design career. I'm telling you, man, if you're not an improviser, you should always at least take some improv classes because it's so valuable. Adam Bellis and I, we used to both work at Full Sail University, and we started an improv as communication framework workshop for the teachers, and it went really well for 3 years. Every teacher had the option to take different classes, and ours was on there. Was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually listening to my students. Yes, you have to give them stuff in order to do a syllabus and the make sure that they do their tests correctly, but you got to listen to them like, how do I light a dog on a stage? I know how to light a human because their skin's oily, but how do I light a dog? What could do we use any gels or anything? Stuff like that. But it went really well. Sam Hammersley took it over after both Adam and I left. So I don't know how it is. It's probably still going. Who knows?
Well, he is in Indianapolis now with Anna, I believe. So if it is still going, I hope it is, that it would be somebody else now leading it.
That would be great. But I doubt it.
So going back a little bit too, so you combining games and your motives there. I love that, and I feel like you must have planted a dormant seed a little bit in me without me realizing it. As dirty as that sounds, because when Kayla and I were in Chicago, we produced a show there at Under the Gun, which was at the time improv. At the time existed, and at the time was improv, where we called it. It was based in part on Cutthroat Kitchen.
Okay.
So we would have teams of improvisers and then we would give them sabotages. So we've reformatted a little bit called improv sabotage, but it's basically kind of that idea of you're going to do a scene, but if you lose these like little elimination games or the toss up or whatever it is, we're going to throw a sabotage on you. So you're going to do the scene, but in this scene, you can never look at each other, or one person faces downstage, one person faces upstage the entire time, or whatever the sabotages are, and force that on people. And in doing that, we saw some amazing improv by putting them in these, confines. It was crazy.
Yeah, you get somebody out of their establishment and they have to thrive. I mean, that's why they say travel is great for the human because you see other cultures, you see things that never you even thought of, like Korean street food. Yes, please. And it's similar to what you already know, but it's totally different. So yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Like giving a different restriction
Yeah.
on how you can communicate on top of the other game. It's yeah, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, because we can only evolve so much. We can only do so many things on stage. Like, oh, I'm gonna monologue the whole time. No, you're not. You're gonna monologue in gibberish. Oh, that's a game now. There are as many exercises as there are human beings on the planet because we all throw in our own different perspective and we all like see different connections. It's a great muscle, and I used to, here we go again. I'm talking about me, blah, blah, blah. Is the podcast my name on it? Yes, it is. Okay. I used to do improv for a employee networking teacher, I guess. I can't remember what it was called. Oh, it's Concept Karma. And they would go to different employers or employees and try to use improv to connect their employees together. The first workshop we went to was a workshop for helping people find employment and connecting. So it was a perfect connection for us. They had been working together as various myriad groups for 4 days. And so we come in there on the fifth day. I guess it's like a big surprise for them, having fun together. And I do the traditional name warm up, like just say your name, give an adjective that describes you, starting with the first sound of your name. Nobody knew anyone else's names. And this was a networking workshop. And by at least day one, you got to know at least three other people's names, but they had no idea. So I'm just saying, if it wasn't for improv, those people would be strangers right now. But now they're all married to other people, but it helped them know who to invite.
And you were a part of that.
Yeah, I was part of that. Okay. Here's some existentialism. When you're doing really freaking good improv, you're not a part of it anymore. You're just reacting to the universe. You're like, this is that happened. Now this needs to happen. Oh shit, I'm the this. Okay, it's happening. So yeah, when you're part of good improv, you're not thinking ahead. You're just like, oh, this is what happens. I just put a cake in my shirt. Yeah, I thought of something funny, but it wasn't. Don't worry about it.
I like what you're saying, and I'm going to paraphrase or say it a little differently. Correct me if I'm wrong. What you're saying is when you're doing really good improv, it's all reactive and not active. So when you say you're not a part of it, what you mean is you're not actively a part of it. You're more of a vessel for it.
Correct. Everything just like let the force flow through you. Just listen to your heart. Blah, blah, blah. Don't think. Even though like all those platitudes and mantras are like corny and it eliminates the concept of self, it's when you're doing a great scene, you just feel it, dude. You can't replicate it. And nothing else changes. And it's so good when it happens.
Can you remember any moments that were the opposite of that in your experience in improv in any of the places you've done it?
Absolutely. Do you want me to tell you a couple?
Absolutely.
Okay, here's the generic answer. It's when somebody comes in with an agenda and their agenda they know is funny because they've written it down ahead of time or they've practiced it in the mirror or they've talked about it with their significant other. Like, it would be funny if this happened. Oh, yeah. And they don't even listen to the audience's suggestion if there is one. So they come out with this agenda. And then the other improvisers who are in the scene know stupid him. They don't yes and. They know stupid. So they force him to either double down on his agenda or to back off and feel meek about their performance and feel like everyone hates them. And as much as we hate to kowtow to other people's agendas, in improv, if you do, it makes both of you look really good. There was an improviser at SAC who would regularly come out with his own agenda. I'm not going to use him, but he came out with his own agenda in one workshop. Thankfully, this was on stage. And everyone I know did not like playing with this improviser. I also dreaded it as well. But I said, you know what? Fuck it. This is workshop. This is where we learn. I went out there and I could yes-anded everything he gave me. So I made him look good. I made the scene move forward. He didn't have his agenda anymore because he had it accomplished. So he had to grow beyond that, but not wilt like a flower because his other players weren't helping him. So he was able to move forward and learn. And it was a good scene. It was a decent scene. I wouldn't say it was the best ever, because I mean, what is the best improv scene ever? Ones that you remember decades later.
It has to do with a cake and a shirt. That's all I know.
That is improv. Walking backward in a scene, looking what you just already had, and like picking it up, putting it in your shirt. So yeah. So no matter how bad your fellow improvisers are, it's always up to you, regardless of what your level is. It's always up to you to make them look better. Don't go in with the agenda. Just like if the suggestion inspires you on something, be like, oh, okay. Oh, yeah, cake in the shirt. I know that guy. I know a guy who puts a cake in a shirt. I'm going to play him. That's all you need. That's all you freaking need to just go in. You can just a point of view. Start with an activity, keep it physical. Don't just stand there. Don't be a talking head. Don't go to the back of the wall. I used to, when I was teaching at 6 degrees, I would just tell people, what the hell are you doing at the back of the wall? There's nothing there. There's nothing for you there. If you're at the back of the wall, something's wrong with either you or with the scene, and we could talk it out. We could figure this. I never really said that last part, but I would just tell people, don't be at the wall when you're afraid. This is what I did. When you're afraid, always step forward, because that is psychologically makes you feel more confident, and it also shows the audience that you're not afraid.
Has there ever been a moment, because I think back about my time on stage with you, well, I don't want to load it too much. Can you think of any moment where you have felt hot face or embarrassed on stage, or where there was something that you felt you were painted into a corner, or anything like that?
By other improvisers or something of my own doing?
Either way.
Yeah, okay. I only remember one embarrassing cringe comes back to me, and it was because they didn't pronounce a word. Dude, I'm an idiot. I should have pronounced that word. I have nothing negative to remember about improv. I mean, even though I lost my opportunity to improvise at SEC, I was very angry and upset. I still wouldn't have traded the entire previous decade with them for anything. I'm tearing up a little bit because I mean it's where I met my best friends in the universe. It's where I met my wife. It's where I learned to be a human being, because I literally did not listen to the radio until 6 years before I started at SAC. I only listened to classical music, and SAC really just it brought me out of my shell. Improv is I can't say anything negative about improv other than it's a cult, and sometimes we are gatekeepers, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It happens everywhere. But the improv muscle, I highly recommend it to anyone. Like, I haven't talked to you in like a decade,
Yeah.
and you just messaged me out of the blue and said, "Hey, you want to do this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, fuck yeah." That's what improv does. It allows you to reconnect. I mean, we have something in common more than just sitting next to each other in school.
Right.
It's a language.
And I've really enjoyed doing the podcast because I have been able to contact people that I haven't talked to in a long time. Like when Charlie and I were talking, it's like, I don't think I've spoke to you. And I think it's probably the same with you, since we kind of all got together to reminisce about Christian, when after Christian passed, who was another member of 6 Degrees and in the programs at SAC and stuff, and a great guy. And that's been great. And I've also been able to connect with people that I had only heard about. I'm able to pull all these threads together, and it's been really, really cool. And the reason I asked you specifically about whether, you'd ever been in a position where you had hot face or were embarrassed on stage is because I can't imagine, knowing what I know of you, being on stage with you, I can't imagine that ever being the case. And I didn't want to front load that too much. But it's because what I remember of Simon on stage was, if anything happened where I would be embarrassed, you would just be an absolute delight, either sitting on the stool or on stage with me, delighting in whatever was happening. And that's kind of a superpower, Simon.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, I grew up with a single mom who figured out that the way to stop us from crying in public was to get down on the floor and start crying with us. And so now nothing embarrasses me. So I will do things that I know would embarrass other people, and I don't even think twice about it. Like a common thing that I do is I wear pretty keen looking t-shirts. Yeah. And whenever I'm out like a convention or just heck, even like Publix, people will say, "Hey, I like that T-shirt," and I say, "Do you want it?" And I start taking it off. So I never take it off fully, but it's an icebreaker. If you're willing to embarrass yourself and not get embarrassed, it's a great icebreaker because it shows everybody else that you have a weakness and you are aware that other people have a weakness, but you don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you for saying that. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure I've done a couple things that may have embarrassed you on stage, and I apologize for it right now. I don't regret it, but I apologize for it
Well, and I don't think you need to apologize
because it made you who you are.
yeah. Yes, that and also, like, looking back, I mean, if there was a critique I heard ever about Simon, it would be like sometimes it seems like Simon is doing improv for himself and isn't concerned with the audience. But that's also not necessarily a bad thing. Like the audience is there, but we don't
No,
they're not dictating to us.
yes, that is what got me released. But the thing is, it's not a weakness. It's the way I view people. I unfortunately have this condition where I believe everybody is as smart as I am. And I'm greatly disappointed when people aren't as smart or practical or referenced or wise. I could use the word wise too, as I am. So I have to like, oh, okay, I can go at this from a different angle because, like I said earlier, I will throw out references that are 4 steps ahead of everybody else, and it's not the best thing in improv. But if the audience is in on the joke, they're like, ah ha ha ha. I will prefer one huge guffaw from an audience of 50 people than 50 people going, ha ha.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing I would say about the Simon that I remember and from like Gen S is I think when I first started in Gen S especially, and this would be true for I mean part of it was because of the cohesiveness I think that the 6 Degrees crew especially had. And some people were better at navigating this than others, but it was a little intimidating initially. And I remember other people coming in and thinking or saying even, Simon is, I don't know what they would say. And I have to say, no, no, no. But at first, when I first got there, I probably would have been one of those people being like, oh, Simon is just a dick to me on stage and I don't understand. That could have been how I interpreted it. But later, after getting to know you, it was no, no. Simon isn't doing that to be a dick. Simon is just one of the most mischievous people you'll ever meet. And he's like a little puck out there and doing all of this mischievous stuff. And it brings a lot to the table and it brings a lot to the performance if you're willing to go along for the ride. If you're not, you're going to get buried. But if you can get on board, it's going to be more than what it would be otherwise.
Yeah, I believe that's 100% true. I am a troublemaker, but it's there for I'm making trouble for fun, not just for me. Because yeah, that's pretty much what I am. I still am, so nothing's changed, so that's good, except for age. God, I started doing improv when I was 24, and now I'm 48. It's been half of my lifetime, and it hasn't made it any worse. I mean, there were, bumps here and there, but that's not improv, that's people making it worse. But yeah, glad you were able to stand up for me in that type of mentality. Thanks. But I know that I am difficult to make friends with. However, the ones that I do have, they're fucking deep and they know me and they're like, oh, he's not being a dick to me. He's being a dick to the scene character. I get
Yeah.
it. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's also a little bit of, I don't know if we ever would have described it this way at the time, because I know I wouldn't, because it was outside of my consciousness. But eventually, at some point along the line, I read McNapier's book and I was like, what is this? And then eventually, sometime after that, I feel like I started to understand that. And that was even, I think, before I moved to Chicago. And then it's even more prevalent. But the annoyance idea of taking care of yourself, because initially to me, that sounded very selfish.
Uh-huh.
Now I get it and I understand that it's not. It's for the sake of the scene and for the sake of the art that we're doing. You don't want to leave some things just hanging. If you can take care of them, and then you can move on. Otherwise we get
Yeah.
stuck in these moments. And I feel like Simon working for the delight of Simon is also working for the delight of the audience. So it's the same kind of idea.
Yeah. I am Loki. I am Puck. I am every annoying sidekick character in the 80s cartoons who was not needed. I may even be Jar Jar, but without them, you don't have an audience commentary or connection. It's like you want something bad to happen to see the people overcome it. And having a character like me, it's not necessarily bad. I'm not an antagonist. I'm just a agitator. Just like, I messed up your crayons. Now you have to fix them.
Yeah.
Oh, I have something to do now. So chaos, if you want to call it.
Yeah, and you're always you always work within the realm of sort of good improv. It's not like you were destroying a scene by doing bad improv. I don't think you ever destroyed a scene, so I don't that came off not how I wanted it to. But I never saw you operating in a way that was intended to or was at the detriment of like good improv, scenically or whatever. It was like coming in to a scene that had established that they're at the Grand Canyon and be like, well, you're not at the Grand Canyon, you're on a spaceship. That would just be bad improv, but you were this
Yeah.
sort of unknown element that was difficult to figure out. So I think people didn't know what to expect when Simon enters the scene, which is crazy because it's improv. We never know what to expect. So that should be welcome. But I think for some people, it's like, oh no.
Oh man, what is he gonna throw at us now?
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah, you know what? I could tell that people did have problems with me in scenes, me in their scene. Like if I was on somebody's team, they wouldn't talk to me when we're sitting on the stools on the sidelines, or they wouldn't be willing to jump into the scene if I had started it, and I hated that. But I didn't care because I'm able to do it by myself. So that's when I transitioned to hosting. So that way I could fuck with everybody. They couldn't say no. But so I would definitely do the traditional product of an improv show. The traditional, like, hey, this exercise can't go this next to this exercise because they're both physical restriction games. I'll put something else there and I'll put this one over here. But that would be the first half. And then the second half, I do remember like doing like a physical challenge. Like you have to do a stand, sit, kneel. You have to do a other type of physical scene. And then I would always end the show with something for myself, the frosting on the cake, because occasionally it's two teams and one team is just overwhelmingly better than the other teams that come and try to knock them off. So I would always save the last scene for the team that's winning. And it would sometimes be a three-way dubbing crime endowment. So if they're winning, you have to knock them off the pedestal because I have that view with like all leadership. If you can't be questioned about why you're a leader and you can't answer it, why be a leader? You don't deserve that anymore. So yeah, I understand the mentality of other players with me. So that's why I transitioned to hosting. So I mean, I was the winner. I was the Loki. I was controlling your destinies, and I never had to worry about being viewed negatively. And I think, to be honest, I want to be humble here, but I think Rob Ward took a little bit of that from me and threw it into Pepe. And it's just like, I'm this mischievous Machiavellian controller, but everybody loves me.
So in hosting or performing, do you remember any that wouldn't be awkward necessarily for you, but any what you would call the worst audience interaction or the most awkward audience interaction, either stemming from the audience or from the stage?
Wow. Try to block those out. Uh, but the worst audience interaction, we could go ahead and just do a generalization.
Sure.
I mean, it's happened a lot more than once, but it's not worthy of remembering. So the generalization of would be when they don't match your energy coming out. Uh, Occasionally, like I said, it's a date night on Thursdays. First date, you don't want to commit too much. So everyone is trying to look cool,
Yeah.
and nobody looks cool when they're laughing. So the audience, if it's too low, it's just that's just such a fucking bummer. Or if they're not even listening, if people are on their phones, I'm sure that's more common now. But they're not matching energy. Or they're starting high. You could land that plane. You don't need to give it any more gas. You can pull it down. But if they're on the runway and like they're still getting their luggage on, like, oh, I gotta text the babysitter. Yeah, I'm a single dad. Sorry. Oh, okay, we're here. Put down my phone. Yeah, I don't know why. It's that's tough to do. That's tough to get them back. And sometimes that'll last through the first half, and it's not a good experience for the host because at that point, that's the point when the host looks like a dick when you're trying to get people to laugh, when you're trying to drive your players into actually caring about doing things for people who don't appreciate it, and you lose control. I think the best way to lose control is to try to gain control. And you gotta match the audience's energy first, and like say, hey, we're all on this journey together. Come with me. Come on, let's go. I'm serious. I don't know what's there either, but I'm sure it'll be fun. I'm sure it'll be better than sitting down and being negative. So you gotta help them with their luggage. You gotta help them sit down, put their seatbelt on. I know the audience is an airplane and my players are cars. It's a horrible analogy right now, but we're gonna get there because the place where we're going, we have to land the plane and then watch cars. Oh, we're in NASCAR now? I didn't know we were going to NASCAR. This is great. Oh, great. So that's the worst audience experience you can get is when you have an audience that doesn't want to be there, or laughter feeds on itself. If one person is laughing and no one else is laughing, he's going to be conditioned to not laugh. If three people are laughing, a group of people that came by themselves and they're like, this is their first time seeing improv, and they're a little drunk and like, oh, that's funny. His name is Simon. What kind of name is that? And they will get the audience laughing. So you want to grab them and embrace them. Never denigrate your audience unless you are a insult comic or that's your shtick. But you never want to lose the audience because you're there too. You are the audience's guide to this NASCAR race.
Yeah. Okay, I have a thought and a question. So the question first, and then we'll see if the thought that I have is accurate in any way. But when you're playing or when you're watching, what's the first indication to you that a scene is in trouble?
When you reach for that shoe, you subconsciously that's when you have to end it. You pull it. You got to fire that bullet. So if you're reaching for the shoe, just end it. If you are seeing moments that are teetering towards reaching toward the shoe, but then somebody pulls it back up, you're like, who cares? This is gonna go good. But the moments when you feel like a scene is not working are when somebody's no stupiding, unless somebody yes ands that no stupid. It's like a rock paper scissors game. I'm gonna throw out rock. Okay, that's great. I'm gonna throw out scissors. You broke my scissors. Okay, that's great. Something happened. Now this scissors has to figure out, like, I'm going to throw out rock as well. We're going to join each other. So we work towards a common goal. Now it's man versus nature instead of man versus man. But then somebody comes along and they are scissors and there's two rocks. The audience sees what's going to happen. But if somebody comes out and there's a third rock, I can't throw it. Here we go. Third rock. And you're like, where is this going to go? There's nothing. There's everybody's the same. If you see something like that, or if you see a scheme scene, like, hey, if we did this, it would happen. Don't do that. Just do the thing that you're scheming about. Or if you see a scene where it's a hey, just do what I'm doing. It's an exercise scene. This is how it's going to happen. No, you don't need that. That's filler. That's a montage. That's the reason why we have montages is because nobody needs to see the entire thing. And those usually I will shoot. I mean, regardless of where the performers think they're going to go, or if they've got great chemistry right now, if they end up doing a scheming or a this is how you do it scene, I'm shooing it because it's not content.
So my thought was, and I love it because you were thinking about that differently than I was thinking about it when I asked it. But I love that. But my thought was, if again, and I guess this is just possibly inflating Simon's ego. But when you would be in a scene, I feel like if there's something that for me would have been like, the train is off the rail or the train is off the tracks, where I would have panicked. Simon says, no, that was the offer that was made, and that's what we're going to play with now.
Yes.
I would enter a scene when I was in Gen S with a sandbox in mind. This is the sandbox, and Simon would enter the scene as like, we're defining the sandbox as we go, and okay, now I know the sandbox because it just went off the rails, and now we're going to play with that, and we're going to have fun with that until the next sandbox shows up.
Wow. I didn't know I did that. I do know that I went in with a mantra, usually. either do something physical or do something emotional and just listen. But I didn't know I came in with limitations on the sandbox. That's pretty cool. So yeah, what you're saying, how you think back to the vehicle analogy. If the train is coming off the tracks in the scene, that's up to the strong improvisers to figure out how to get it back on the tracks. And if they don't get back on the tracks, that's when you shoe. You throw the shoe if you're thinking about reaching for it. But I do know there are countless times at Gen S when I would see the scene happening the way you're saying, where the train is going to come off the tracks. They're not listening to each other, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, somebody would just fucking like yes and I'm like, ah, there it is. They pushed past that barrier in their mind, and now they are back together and they're good doing the scene. And that's the moment that's the moment that makes you stronger.
Yeah.
And if those were the scenes, if any of those that you were in where you had to push past me not throwing the shoe, I'm glad I didn't throw the shoe for you because dying makes people stronger. Rise like the phoenix.
Yeah. Simon, are there any short form games or long form structures that you absolutely hate?
Yes, there are. Just like board games, there are formats that I just despise. But I've been out of improv for so long that I can't even think about it. A lot of games that I love that we never really got to do, like Kick It. I love those, but I'm horrible at it. But that's the thing. I'm horrible at it because I don't practice it. And I know I want to fail at it. Kick It, for those listening, is a game where you speak and then you rap. When someone says kick it, and then when someone says word, you speak English. Oh, God. I didn't mean to say English. I meant to say your normal dialect because rapping is in English. Is it not? I just destroyed an entire music industry. Thanks, racist. No, I can't really think of any exercises or games that I just despise, but I know there are some. It's not because I don't like the mechanic in it. It's because we just didn't do them that often. And I was like, oh, I'm not good at that, but I got to get better.
Yeah.
Guess we can't do it tonight.
Well, speaking of structures and stuff, I would like you to remind me. I think I have an inkling, but if you remember, can you remind me how Simon Gories is played?
Holy shit. Okay, it's just like categories wherein somebody points to you, you have to say that something within that category. Types of airplanes, Boeing 747. Cymagories, Jesus farts. Oh man, it's not that big of a change in Cymagories. I might be wrong, but I think I just remembered it. So you get a letter, and all the things in that category have to start with that letter. And when you die, you swap with the pointer. So now you have the opportunity to torture everybody else. And it's not that big of a change in categories. It was just like an option to do warm up with everybody being the king of the hill, essentially being in charge. And like, this is my agenda. I get to make them say different types of bread. So yeah, I think that's what Cybergories was. Someone else is going to remind you of the correct one. But like I said, I haven't done this in ages. I'm like Obi-Wan over here.
Yeah, I think it may have been Charlie that I asked, or maybe Charlie brought up. I forget who it was, but I think what the element that was missing was swapping out, which I actually love. Okay, so let's transition to my questionnaire. So you can speak as little or as much on these as you like. It's completely up to you. Simon, how do you get into the proper headspace to play?
I wake up, I go there, and I have to have some energy. There was never like a real traditional thing that I had to do to prep for being on stage. I do know that I'm a lot more comfortable doing improv than I am doing scripted stuff. In fact, I'm improvising for a school right now as a student patient. So I have to go there and be ready to do anything. They need me to take off my shirt, I take off my shirt. Take off my shoes, I'll take off my shoes. They need to check my blood pressure, I have to let them do that. So you got to go into it. Just don't be timid. Just go out there. I better be ready to play tonight. I do know that I've started some shows feeling sick or down. because of the day just hitting me, and I know I was scheduled, and you never want to give up your schedule. This is like the opposite of being a bartender. You want to pick up your schedule all the time because it's stage time, and us with egos. I'm not generalizing. Everyone I've known who's done improv has to have some sort of ego in order to get out there, and you don't want to throw away your stage time. So even if you're feeling shitty, you got to go out there and just tell yourself, "Hey, I'm doing improv right now."
Is there any warm up in the back that was particularly helpful for you? Was that something you looked for, or you didn't really need that kind of thing?
There was a warm up that Six Degrees did that I thoroughly loved, and I do know that we did it in backstage of SAC a couple of times. People were like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." It was called Captain Planet, and it was the reverse of categories, where we all stand. Yeah, you remember this. This is good. We stand in a circle, opposite of categories, where it's an arc. Well, it's never doesn't matter. Don't want to say how much of an arc is a circle. It could be a 2/3 or whatever. I don't care. So you stand in a circle. Somebody just throws their fist in as and says anything, a noun, an adjective, a verb, and it's like, let's just start with green. I say green. Somebody else throws their hand in and they say purple, orange, blue. Y'all have to say different colors because now we know we're talking about colors. And then when everybody does it, we all get together and say, by our powers combined, we are Captain Colors. And you say what the category was. A lot of times it could be that simple, or it could just be as so freaking complicated where somebody throws in pride, prejudice, zombies, and we're like, oh shit, dude. And then we get to the last one, they have to essentially tie it all together, and like, oh, we get it. By our powers combined at the same time, and we say whatever the category is, and we make sure that everyone's on the same page. That was one of my favorite warm-ups. It's essentially a whole improv scene. Everybody throws in their own pieces to the stew, and we cook it up, and we're like, this is a delicious stew.
Do you know the game or the exercise Mind Meld?
Oh, no, no.
So I think Captain Planet is superior, but I'll tell you Mind Meld. So Mind Meld would just be two people, and you go 1, 2, 3, and they say a word. They just each of them say a word at the same time, and they say
Uh-huh.
okay, and maybe it's two different people, but the idea is you examine. Okay, Simon said shoe, and Steven said zombies. What is the word that is in between zombies and shoe? And
Oh,
and then on the count of three, two other people try to say what they think is between those two things, and then you keep going. And I think the goal is, or could be, the same for both. But I love Captain Planet because not only is it just fun, but you also get insights into how other people think just based on how they're combining and figuring out the through line to what has been said so far. So the second to the last and the last people that go there before you try to do the captain thing really are telling a lot about themselves by whatever it is that they say.
absolutely. That game, Mind Meld. Yes, I now that you mentioned it, I am familiar with it. There's actually a board game based on it called Medium. I'm seeing a lot of board games taking improv games and just like putting it into cardboard form for the plebeians. So it's pretty. Improv is, like I'm saying, it's a great muscle.
Cool. Simon, do you have a favorite get for?
Yeah, I used to. I would usually like, what made you upset today? Because I hate what's this size,
Yeah.
or how would you feel if you did this, blah blah blah. Psychologically speaking, people are more likely to hold on to negative than positive. They'll have that positive high for a couple of days and then let it go. If they have a bad day, they will remember that day for years. So I ask people, what's the worst thing that happened to them today? Occasionally we will get some like NSFW stuff, or just like some really sad things. But like, oh, the worst thing that happened to me today, I couldn't get my key in the lock for my mail. Oh, so that's something that's minutia that you can make into a scene, and it makes the audience happier. And now, whenever they do that stupid thing again, they're like, haha, it's not that stupid. It's fun. It's called making a connection.
Were you likely to take the ones that were a little on the darker or the sadder side, or would you try to burn them?
Personally, I would take them. I don't care. I do know that I offend a lot of people because people aren't aware of time, which is one of the contributing factors to comedy, tragedy plus time. And I'm super weird already, everyone can tell, but time is a flat circle because everything that's happened just happened. You're not there right now. Everything that's going to happen, it's going to happen, but you're not there right now. So everything is open for comedy. My dad died of cancer. I make fun of cancer all the time. I have diabetes and high blood pressure. I make fun of those. I have an uncle that died from suicide. And I knew 4 people in high school that committed suicide. And Sid told me that's not a common thing to have. So, mortality, the darker subjects of life, they don't bother me forgetful. I would take them personally. However, I do know a lot of other people who wouldn't. So we have to, if we're selling a product, we can't go that way. But if you're doing workshops, if everyone's cool, everyone's kosher, I mean, today, right now, it's been 10 years since I did Austin Improv. The zeitgeist of sensitivity has changed. So I can't even say the word kosher. But you got to listen to your players, listen to your audience. I do know that I've done a couple scenes involving cancer and or suicide. I love the term fart attack, but it's a heart attack with fart. Haha, it's hysterical. Me personally, I don't care. I don't give a shit. Everybody else, if you're doing this together with somebody else, you need to listen to them because their offensive meter is just a little bit lower than yours. I don't know, lower or higher. It's different than yours.
Yeah. I feel like on some level, if they said it, it should be fair game, right? Like you shouldn't worry at least about offending the person that said it, because if they shared it in this group of strangers, then it seems like they're willing to let you play with it.
Yeah, I never even thought about that. Yeah, but yeah. If they're willing to talk about, I ran over a dog today. Ha ha ha. Either they don't have a heart, or they understand that that probably the dog's okay, or he's going to pay the bills or whatever. They have a different understanding than you about the situation at hand. Yeah, yeah, you could definitely do it for them. You are selling a product, and if the client wants that, you sell them that product.
Yeah. Well, do you have a least favorite suggestion, either now or from before?
Tutu, Apple, jumping, running, Trump, anything political at the time, even though I so would love to decimate anything political in scene. You can't do that because you're selling a product yet again. But subtle hints and clues, like 4 steps ahead, talking about something else.
Yeah.
Some of the audience will be like, haha, he did that. Yeah, I like it. But anything I don't like, it's just the mundane, stupid things. Making salad. Well, actually, that's pretty funny, hysterical. That's why all those women are laughing at salad in those stock photos. But like, just Apple tutu. Anything's outwardly supposed to be absurd. Like if they give too much, like pink elephant, we don't need that. We need a seed. We don't need a whole sandwich.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could plant a bread seed and grow a sandwich because that would be wicked. But we just need the starter for the bread. There it is. I made it. I made it there. I got there. It's a starter for the bread. Yeah.
Well, do you have a favorite way to burn a suggestion that doesn't inspire you?
Yeah, like I said, you don't want to alienate yourself from the audience. So if somebody says tutu, you could lie to them and say, "Oh, we get that a lot. We've got 17 tutu scenes in the back already ready. Just pull them out. We don't want to see that. They're used. We want something new." You could make them feel better or different about their suggestion instead of making them feel bad. If somebody says something that the audience isn't ready for, like "My daughter just died," you could reference it. You could fourth wall this thing. You could break through that fourth wall. You could either be super sympathetic and make them look like more of an ass, which is something that the audience is already seeing, or you could get them back on your side and say, "I'm really sorry about that. In the scene, we hope to bring her back to life. It's not possible, but we're going to try to do it for you." So you're bringing that one person back to the fold of the audience instead of getting them out. Because if an audience hates one single audience member, they're going to leave at halftime and they're going to write a letter to us. But that's the thing, as a host, unfortunately, you got to be on your toes because a lot of the times the players will ask for those suggestions, and you don't want to make the player look bad before they even do a scene. Be willing to step in front of that bullet and take it. The audience can hate you if they want, but like the performers and still have a good show.
Yeah.
But if they hate the performers, yeah.
Simon, what do you look for in an audience volunteer?
Big tits. No, I'm gonna get canceled. What do I look for? Someone who's been wanting to get on that stage all night. If they've been throwing out their hand for suggestions and nobody calls on them because they're too enthusiastic, I want to get that guy. Conversely, I also want to get the person who's super timid. They're not in on the joke. I want to get that. So if you get them both up on the stage, just that you got yourself a solid 15 point scene because the audience is now in on the joke. And the person who wasn't is now part of the joke. And they're like, I got to make people laugh? What? And then the guy who was like over enthusiastic was like, I got to make people laugh. It makes them both look good. So you want diametrically opposed audience members. You don't want two dudes. Actually, that would be pretty funny. Two dudes that are like, yeah, I want to get up there. Let me get up there, man. And they're sitting next to each other. You kind of want that too. Yeah, that's what I look for.
Describe your onstage persona. Is onstage Simon different than real life Simon?
For the most part, no. On stage, Simon is on stage. My wife tells me that when people get to know me, they know that I'm not that guy. I'm kind. Like we about 3 or 4 months ago, my kid's significant other, they turned 18 and they were being abused in their household, and they thought that they would get kicked out or other stuff would happen. So we took them in, and I didn't think anything of it about bringing them into our household. And that's the real me, but I don't want people to see that I'm a sensitive human being with empathy. I just want them to see me as the fun guy, like that's crass and just a bit of an asshole to just get you out of the norm. But so yeah, there is a difference between on stage Simon and real Simon, but it's like real Simon is more of my Bruce Wayne. Batman is who I show everybody, and nobody cares about Bruce Wayne. Everybody cares about Batman. So even though it's 80% of who I am, it's not the real me. Shit. How much are you gonna be charging me for the psychiatry?
My tens of listeners, if that ever increases to a point where this can be monetized at all, I'll throw you some that way. So the opposite of what you ask.
No, I have to pay you. You're
Yeah.
like you just got to the deep me. So
What inspires you on stage? We may have touched on it a little bit, but is there anything else?
what inspires me is fear, because there's two ways. Okay, there's five ways, but there's two ways to deal with fear. You either conquer it or it conquers you. And I used to be terrified of getting on stage in those musicals that I did with the church youth groups. Just utterly terrified. But I knew I had the skill. I knew that I had the voice. I knew I had the presence because I'm an egotistical person. But I was afraid of anything. I was afraid of variables. I was afraid of failure. I was afraid of something happening with the stage. I was afraid of things that you couldn't even control. And like I said, the best way to lose control is to try to take control. So, based on Buddha, you can only control yourself because that's the only thing you have control over. Improv forces you to face your fear, forces you to destroy your fear, move on, find five new fears, conquer those, still have one in the back of your head that was the fourth one, and be like, that's definitely going to happen, man. You're going to get a spike through the brain like that hideous fog. But I'm like that in my professional life. I am the exact opposite of an improviser in my professional life because I'm afraid of success and the things that you're supposed to do in order to be successful. I don't want to do those because I don't want to fail, because if I fail, I fail everybody else. So I gotta just keep selling product in professional life. But in improv, stage, my own designs for board games, I don't have that fear. You're getting really deep, man.
Well, the opposite side of that, and we've touched on this a little bit as well, but is there anything that shuts you down or takes you out of it on stage?
Yeah, absolutely. Occasionally, I will I will hit a wall of I don't want to do this anymore. It's with a lot of things in my life, and it could happen in the middle of a scene. And I remember these from 10 years ago, where I just don't want to be in the scene anymore. Not because it's doing bad or someone else is taking over and the spotlight's no longer on me. It's just that I got bored with it, probably, or medically, I might some chemical might have misfired, but that's why what I'm taking. It's been very helpful, keeping me focused. You know what? It's most likely focus. That's what takes me out in a scene, and also becoming not introspective, but fourth person perspective. If you start thinking about what somebody sees you doing, you're going to be super self conscious, and that'll just take you out.
Yeah.
So I don't. I try not to do
In your estimation, Simon, what makes a good scene partner?
that. His name, Adam Bellis. I miss him so much. But I mean, it's not like he's gone or anything. It's just that we live so far away, and our friend groups have like dissolved, and we got new friend groups. But his ability to just be like, it was a fucking lighthouse. He would just be right there all the time, ready with exactly what you needed. And the thing is, not only did he have exactly what you needed in the scene, he had a specific thing within that thing that you needed. Like if you're saying you needed a car in a scene, he would specifically say, "Well, my Acura is going to blah blah blah." He would pull specifics out of the air that would just that made the scene real, and he would just he wouldn't try to be in the scene for himself. He was in the scene for the scene, and he also had that dickish attitude that I have, where you push forward. I do remember his best gag to do is when somebody would say, "Well, we need a blah 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 for this." He would just come out as a blah 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 salesman. Here you go. First date, it's free to you. Here you go. Give them what the fuck they need, and then move out. Because like the journey, the journey to get that thing is just it's a MacGuffin. It's you don't
Yeah.
need it. You just need to move on with the characters and the story. So that's what I would look for in a scene partner. Oh man. Oh, this is the second time I cried. What are you doing to me?
Do you have any advice that you would give to your younger self?
Relax. It's not everything's about you. I think most people say that about themselves, young versions of themselves. I know right now, Simon, the younger, that you are suffering from paranoia of so many things. A little bit of paranoia is good because it keeps you on your toes. A lot of paranoia makes you the enemy to the world, and you don't want that anymore.
Do you have a favorite type of character to play?
I usually like to play who I am. I'm tricksters or low status. I really like low status because they get to be the butt of the joke. They got to be the audience input character because the audience doesn't know what's going on either. When you're low status, people get to use exposition for you. So they tell the audience that, "Hey, you're stupid. You're only stupid because of this." Well, I'm not really stupid. I'm just low status. I just don't stand up for myself. But if you play a low status character confidently, you'll win over the audience. So I really like low status and tricksters. I hate playing the straight man, the wacky guy, or the low status or whatever. I will play the straight man, but I hate I hate playing the straight man because he gets all the setups, none of the punchlines, which I've seen a lot for straight men. I'm not making it's a huge generalization. This is just from my perspective. Straight men, when they're in a scene, they either have to be the winner all the time, but that comes at a cost of everybody else. And I don't like comedy like that.
If you could do a scene with anyone alive, who would it be?
Anyone alive? Shit. You know what? Fuck it. Let's just double down on the crazy wackiness. Martin Short. I say this right now. That was the first thing that came to my brain. I know there are so many other people out there in the world. Conan O'Brien. I would love to do a scene with Conan O'Brien, but the thing is, it'd be too much of the same energy. But I want to triple down on the energy. I want to do a scene with Martin Short. And then the second choice, Vincent D'Onofrio.
Oh yeah.
Flip that coin. Yeah, yeah. I want to see what he throws in because Men in Black, he was a high status, high energy, erratic character. Now, Kingpin, he is a controlled, focused character. And I just want to see what he could throw in. But first, Martin Short and then Vincent D'Onofrio.
Get all three of you on stage and charge for it, and I would be there.
I think most people be like, who is Simon MacDonald? No, not paying to see this third guy. Not paying. Well, thanks for that question. That I don't fantasize about stuff like that.
Well, to keep it going, if you could do a scene with anyone who is no longer with us, who would it be?
Uh, the first thing that comes to mind is the Christian Damon.
Yeah.
That was his last name. That wasn't his last
Yeah, it
name.
is.
His last name was Centenarsky, but that's not Hollywood ready. He wasn't with us for very long, and he came from a different world. And there was a night after a performance at SAC, and we all went to Bennigan's, and he came out to all of us. Rob Ward was there, my wife was there, Charlie Downs was there, and Adam Bellis. And at that moment, we were like, we don't care. We're here for you, man. We love you. We knew already. And he couldn't do that in the environment where he was from. And he his energy for wackiness was great. I know it's just like, this is the scene. We're walking it backwards right now. I'm taking something from the front, Christian, which you already spoke about, and I'm putting it back in to make it relevant and powerful. But I would have said that even if we didn't mention it, because he was about, it's tough. Life is tough. People die and people move on. People remember those who have come before them. And I would love to do a scene with him again because it's selfish, but I don't live in a world of variables and I know it's not going to happen. But I really, my number two answer is Vincent D'Onofrio.
I wasn't there for that, but I know it had to be a formative moment because Charlie Downs mentioned that moment as well, and just talking about the group of people that improv brought together, then the friendships that came out of it, and that was a very meaningful moment for Charlie as well. So, and Christian was a great guy. So I mean, D'Onofrio is a valid answer too, but Christian is definitely a great answer for that. One other twist on the question is, if you could do a scene with anyone fictional, who would it be?
Oh shit! My wife is thinking. She's looking at me. She's giving me the answer. Someone from Community. Oh shit! Yeah, Abed Nadir. No, I would do improv with Britta to show how you can make somebody look good.
See now, and this is just because of how we got to know each other when I was first volunteering at SAC. Got to know Sid first, and then got to know you. But I half expected it to be a Farscape character.
Yeah. Let me see who on Farscape. I would love to do improv with Dargo because I do know that the actor is an improviser. Anthony Simcoe. He did improv. He started with improv in Australia, but Dargo would be a fun little partner. But just to answer your question for Farscape.
Simon, what do you find most helpful from the booth?
Oh, Charlie Downs. In a word, Charlie Downs. Okay, so do you listen to NPR's? Doesn't really matter. They talk about an article, whatever, and they talk about what's going on. And then after the article, for their bumper, they'll have a song that has something to do with the article. That's fucking Charlie Downs. He is NPR ready. If we did a scene about a car and the car was red, whatever, he would play Prince, Little Red Corvette. He'd know exactly what to play. He knows the timing on lights. He knows where to put the lights, because sometimes you want a downstage scene for a character, and then sometimes you want an upstage scene. So he'll just like, I'm going right there. I have experienced other tech before who are also as admirable as Charlie Downs, but Charlie Downs, just because he's also a stage improviser, he knows what needs to fit. He knows the pieces and where they need to go at the right times.
Yeah. Is there anything that you find unhelpful, or what is the least helpful from the booth?
Unwanted sound effects. And then, I mean, it very rarely happens, but also not listening or not watching the cues from the side. If you're hosting and you're off the stage or downstage right or wherever you are, and you pull, like, scene, we're done. You do the arm windshield wiper, and they don't do that, or they have it delayed. Like I said, comedy is timing. It's not the best. So with experience comes a better tech person. They have to have their eye everywhere, their fingers on every button. They don't need to throw in a song that matches the scene at the end, but they do need to fill in the void, and they have to pull back on that audio. You can't let it play the entire time. You just need the volume just to go down, because you got to tie everything up.
For this one, I half thought you were going to say fart attack, but and we touched on this as well. But Simon, other than laughter, what audience sound do you revel in?
Disgust, because I do this with my wife Sid all the time. I do disgusting things to and around her. Not really disgusting, but I will do, I'll pantomime a little piece of turd and I'll use it as like a makeup stick on myself. And like, yes, this little. It's disgusting. There's nothing there, but it's disgusting. And if I hear all I need is one audience member to go, we know something that they have history with. And now we can twist that knife in the scene. And now the audience is in on the game. They get it. This person doesn't like blueberries. Maybe they had a bad experience as a child or a good experience as an adult, but it doesn't matter. They don't like blueberries. So yeah, I'd like disgust.
That scans. What is the worst venue you've played?
Oh shit. You know what? It has to be with my first improv troupe after I started taking classes. The group was called 321. We played at an outdoor carnival on a wooden stage where every step sounded like the echo of the gods, and the audience didn't hear you, and there were no mics.
I think that is a common denominator for a lot of answers to that, is the lack of amplification, especially outdoors. It's murder.
Yeah.
What is the best note or the best words of wisdom you've received?
The most complimentary or the most what can make you an improviser? Which one?
Either or. It's just best. So whatever that means, however that.
Okay. So this is workshop, and we are practicing rants. And rant is where you get something that you know very little about, and you rant on that as a monologue for as long as possible. I was given Lincoln Logs because I was obsessed with Lego, and I still am. So, like, little did they know that I knew a shit ton about Lincoln Logs. And I was ranting 2 minutes in. Everyone was like, oh, this is funny. And they thought it was like tapering off. And I was like, no, I'm not done. And I kept going for another 5 minutes, ranting on Lincoln Logs. And at the end, an improviser said, you took us on a journey to a place we didn't want to go to. We got to the top of the hill. You threw us off. You jumped after us. You grabbed us. You had a parachute. We got to the bottom and we went there again. Why did I have so much fun with that? And then after that, Lyle Moon gave me the best compliment I have ever received, ever. He said, "You remind me of a group of Canadians that I used to do improv with. The Kids in the Hall. Don't know if you've ever heard of them." And yes, of course, we all heard of them. And when he compared me to Kids in the Hall for just a rant, I was like, oh, good. I could stop improv right now. I'm done. I made it. We're done. I don't have to do this again. But for the words of wisdom, honestly, Ryan Smith is just walking the scene backwards. It's so great.
Yeah.
I can apply it to life. In fact, I mentioned it to, like I mentioned, like I'm a nurse's patient. So the nurses have to learn how to deal with people through me. One person, she was just apoplectic. She had no idea what to do next because there's a procedure that she has to go through. And I told her the whole walking backward in the scene. You gotta stop. You know what you're going to do at the end of this. You just need to go through and remember all those bullet points that you have to meet. And then in the future, you could always go back to them. She still failed, but it's great knowledge to completely apply to every situation.
Well, and I think the compliment from Lyle as well, in terms of notes that really are formative for us, anything that gives a young improviser or a beginning improviser confidence is helpful. So if you can get something like that, it makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
What is the least helpful note you've ever received? And if there wasn't a terrible one in your past, what's the least helpful note you can conceive of?
Least helpful note is, "You seem to do improv just for you." What does that mean?
Yeah.
I'm on the stage. That's me up there.
Okay.
I'm the one who's talking.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that has my knowledge. This is how I impart it to other people. If it's just for me, doing improv just for me, and that's the worst thing to hear. And then being told you have to take the classes again, be re-educated. So
That sounds very like communist re-education sort of when you said the way you said that.
Yeah.
If there were an Academy Awards for everything improv, what would you be nominated for?
I guess just seeing the bigger picture and wanting to be part of it, but knowing when to not be. I did an improv show at Fringe, and I was playing a character who had made a TV show in the UK, but they made a US version of it, and I was playing the same character, but in the US version of it. And it was a behind the scenes thing where you would see the filming of the episode and what happens during the commercials. It's a lot to take in. It's a big bite. We totally get it. But there was supposed to be a scene where my son was hanging out with a gay person, and I was concerned that my son might start experimenting. And so they're in the scene, they're talking, and the talk gets, innuendo laden about dick and stuff like that. And then but I do know that moves the story nowhere because it's just negating. And then the other actor who was playing my son said political statements. And I was like, I don't need this. I don't need to be in this scene. I'm out of here. See you guys later. I'm out. I'm gone. I was the sidelines ready to jump in. So when you know you're not needed is the best thing for the improv scene.
If you're remembered 100 years from now for something improv related, what do you want it to be?
Honestly, the slew of games that I came up with. I mean, games and exercises. Because, I don't want to be for something that I personally did. I want it to be something that I contributed to the vastness of the improv cult and language. People can combine games, and people could find connections within other exercises, like, oh, this exercise would be great to work this muscle. But honestly, I think a lot of what I did was unique. I'll go back to it again. Three-way dubbing crime endowment. People have probably thought about it like, it'll never work. It so fucking does work. It's so great to see the guy walking in as the criminal to sit down, but the criminal playing the cop who's standing next to them, but doing the voice of the criminal. And the person who's already in the scene has to figure out everything. But the person who's in the seat cues and gestures to help the other person. But it would definitely be games that I've contributed. I mean, a person can do things. A concept can change lives. Whatever.
It's true, though. It is true. That's it for my interview with Simon. If you'd like to bring him to you for a workshop as a speaker, to build you something out of Lego, or to offer him a job, and you should, there's some contact information in the show notes. Find me on Patreon with questions, comments, suggestions, tips, and join me next time for another Improv Autopsy.